welcome back to the channel. I am finally here, she says, for my March edition. I'm going to call it March edition because, yeah, the last time we spoke was in February 20th. It is now the 6th of April. I'm not doing so well with the whole update thing, am I? As you can see, we are in the living room today because my office looks like a bomb site, and the last thing I wanted to do was tidy that up. The plan was to get this video done and dusted super early this morning because I've got lots on the agenda for this weekend. But then, hey, what's new there? As you can see, the girls have made an appearance. They've literally just had their breakfast. So Honey loves a good fuss after a breakfast. Bonbons is right here, but you can't see it because she's laying down. She's being a good girl and you're not. So it's unusual for you to make an appearance, isn't it? Oh, are you going to make an appearance? No, you're just going to sit down there. So I'm going to try and breeze through this, people. So welcome back to all my lovely returning subscribers, and a very warm welcome to the 84 new subscribers to the channel. I hope you like what you see. Where to start? Other than, I'll be honest, there's not that much to show you. I tried and failed miserably, but quite a lot happened in March. I've been on holiday for 2 weeks, and then I've come back, and then I've been sick for probably about 2 weeks. So yeah, bit disappointing, I must say, bit disappointing. Honey, you're being very brave that I'm going to save you. I'm not going to save you. Come and sit over here. Come on, come and sit over here. That's it. As you can see, Honey is needy, as well as Honey's been, it's the time of the month for Honey. Well, she's just getting over it, so she's particularly needy at the moment, and Bonbons is just coming into season. So yeah, literally it's chaos here in my house, as you can see. So where to start, people? What to tell you? So I went on holiday to Jamaica. Notes are here just in case you're wondering what I'm looking at. I went on holiday from the 6th to the 18th of March to Jamaica for 2 weeks. My intention was to take a stitching project with me and get loads done. Of course, that didn't happen. Then when we came back, so we came back off holiday on the 18th, so we landed on the Tuesday morning. So I had the day off on the Tuesday, but obviously I was like suffering from the time difference. And then I worked from home on the Wednesday in the hope that I could clear my inbox with the intention of going into work on the Thursday. And then I was supposed to have been off on the Friday to go to the Essex Needles Retreat, which is the one that me and Elaine Ellie Stitcher organised. So it was supposed to have been so much fun, like literally fly back in from one holiday and go on another little jolly. That was the original plan. However, we flew back on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, I was working from home. And on the Wednesday afternoon, I started to feel a bit unwell. And I was like, do you know what? It must just be the jet lag. The jet lag is catching up on me. Well, by Wednesday night, when I went to bed, I was like, no, something's definitely not right. And by Thursday, I was as sick as a dog. So I crawled my little self into London in the intention of, doing a day's work, and slowly deteriorated. So I ended up leaving work early on Thursday afternoon, came home and literally come through the door, went straight up the stairs and threw myself in bed. And that is basically where I ended up for about a week of, well, more than a week of at least being in bed. I can honestly say I think I've actually had my first dose of the flu. If not, then it was some sort of COVID variant. I'm not quite sure. But needless to say, I missed the Essex Needles Retreat. I was absolutely gutted. I was supposed to have been taking Susie to the retreat. Unfortunately, I had to bail out on her and she had to make alternative arrangements to get there and back. So yeah, I felt terrible. But then the last thing I wanted to do was turn up to a retreat purely because I'm sort of an organizer along with Elaine, and infect everyone. No one wants that. No one wants the sick person turning up to a retreat. And to be honest, given how dreadful I felt, I knew damn well there was no way that I could have even functioned like a normal human being. I spent most of my time in bed and asleep, in all honesty, for that entire weekend. So yeah, that was never going to happen. So for all the ladies that went to the Essex Needles retreat, I am so sorry that I let you all down. But trust me, I did you all a world of good, because I didn't turn up with that. Although I'm better now, I've still got that whole, you know, it's still there. It's still in the throat, and I've still got the remnants. But it's taking its sweet time to go away. So if I sound a little bit husky, croaky, or that's why. But I am over it. I'm back to work now, so yeah, that was fun. Who wants to go back to work? But yeah, so literally all the plans of what was going to happen, I was going to come back off holiday, I was going to go to the Essex Needles retreat, then I was going to upload a video for you guys. I thought maybe I might get a stitch with me in, and none of it happened. None of it. But hey, I'm here now. So what have I done, I hear you say? So like I say, the last time we spoke was in February, so I'm going to have to update you on the stuff that I did at the end of February. So on the project side, what did we have? So you remember I was working on some ornaments, she says. Some little ornaments. So the first one is my Spring Bouquet collection, Bye Bye Birdie by Mill Hill. Here it is. Sorry about the glare. I decided I was going to do some little smalls. So we'd pulled this one out. Now, Bye Bye Birdie. This only got 1 day of stitching since you last saw it. And I think when I started it, I'd done this. So I'd done this bit. And then this is the bit that I've done a bit more of. Now, when I showed this on the video in February, you was all starting to panic, going, Teresa, I don't think you've got enough room on this. That's because this is one of those ones that comes with 2 bits of perforated paper. So when you look at the picture, the brown bit is the bit at the bottom, and this bit here is the birdie. So yeah, no, people don't panic. Teresa hasn't lost the plot that much. I know normally I would be like, oh no, what have I done? On this occasion, I don't need to worry, because I haven't done anything. Haven't done anything bad. But this one literally has just been sat here out in the living room and hasn't been touched other than that 1 day in February. So I really should get back to that. But yeah, like I say, things have not been going according to plan. What else did we have a play with? So also in February, I had been working on my other little ornament, which I shared with you, which is Winter Greetings Charmed Ornament Merry. There we go. So that is the other one that I was working on. And I'm pleased to report, she says, I finished it. I finished it, and I've forgotten to bring it back out of the office. So let me go get that. I was hoping to get through this video without having to do much on the editing side, I'll be honest. Oh, really, honey? Really? Baby? I know you can see out the window like that, but now you're in the way. Okay, let's see if we can do this. So, I haven't FFO'd it. I have literally just done the stitching and put the little hanger on. I've still got to back it. I haven't backed it, but yeah, you get the idea, people. So it's got some little bells on the sides here, and it's all cut out and ready to be finished on the back. Oh dear, sorry about that. The girls think they've seen something. Honestly, since the winter's been here, the girls are terrible, because we've got like a whole wall of glass and windows, or doors, should I say. Every time the girls see a bird, they think it's fun to go and chase things. So they are cavaliers. I'll say cavaliers, they're spaniels. So spaniels love to chase and hunt things. So, right, now that honey's out the way, there we go. So I have a finish, just not an FFO. So happy about that. We're one down, one to go. But yeah, I must admit, they're perfect like little train projects, but once I've done one of them, and then like, you know, I get a bit bored stitching those. They're all right if I really don't need to be, you know, or I don't know. You know what I mean. I don't find them exciting to stitch, so to speak. But we have gotten a finish. I just need to put some fabric on the back. What else did we play with? So the other project that I showed you back in February, God, I can't believe I'm talking about February, was I was getting all excited about working on my full coverages, and I was absolutely thoroughly enjoying myself. And then, yeah, then the gear up for my holiday. So I went away on the 6th of March. So sort of the back end of February was all about appointments, you know, get your hair done, get your nails done, get my body scrub done, get my packing done, still work and still do all the other things. So of course, everything sort of went a bit to the wayside. So I'll be honest, I haven't stitched on any full coverage other than this one, which got a couple of days at the back end of February. And this one is my Life is an Open Book. I'll put who the name of it is by because I've completely forgotten. That didn't take very long, did it? And where I've got pictures of where you last saw it, I should be showing those for you now. And this is where I've got to. Now, do you know what? I'm so pleased with how far I've been getting along. And I've been trying to stitch in as many of the parked threads as I can, because I'm trying to sort of do this without parking, because I seem to be getting a lot more stitching actually done. So this one got 2 days in March and 1 day in February. So the 1 day in February I've done 114 stitches, because now I'm doing handy dandy tracking of stitches, purely because this is being stitched using Pattern Keeper, so I can track the stitches. I can't remember where I was stitching, in all fairness. I just sort of, I think it was sort of a bit of all over, because I'm pulling the thread and then stitching it in. So all of these little bits and pieces down here and all of these bits and pieces over here are where I've been stitching in the threads and then trying to sort of do what I can to finish the block. So I'm still finishing the blocks, but finishing the thread, not just keep parking. So like I say, it got 114 stitches on February, and the 2 days in March I did, I think it was 129 stitches. Like I say, when I say 2 days, it's not the same as everybody else's 2 days. 2 days for them is like, you know, 500, 1,000 stitches. For me, it's, yeah, maybe if I'm lucky, an hour in the evening, if that. So I literally, I just pick a thread, run with it, and then if my eyes are too tired or there just isn't enough time, then, you know, and I'm fine with that, because I'm still getting progress, just not like you lot. So yeah, so Life is an Open Book. 3 more days worth of stitching. Not a lot of stitches to show for it, but I'm still sort of, what, 100, 200, 250 stitches more than I was before. So I'll take that. So then the next project is a new start. Now, I had said that I was unsure what to do about going on holiday, you know, knowing what I'm like, knowing I won't really get that much stitching time. But in my mind, I was like, well, I've got a 9-hour flight to get through to and from Jamaica. So I'm like, well, I should get loads of stitching done, right? Wrong. So wrong. The flight out was really the flight that I thought I would do the most stitching, because it's a daytime flight for us in the UK. And I honestly thought I was going to do loads of stitching, and I didn't. I'll be honest. I sat and watched movies. By the time I'd fed, I was tired because we had an early start in the morning. I ended up sleeping on the plane, and it was a bit squished. It was a bit squished on the plane, so I was just like, I'm not really feeling it. And then I thought that I'd taken my little light that clips on to my Q-snap. I'd forgotten my light. So there was another reason. There's never good enough light. Unless you get to stitch outside, there's never good enough light for me to stitch. So I had discussed with you all about what to take, and a number of you were saying, we'll take a few projects. I'll be honest, I didn't. I just took the New Start because I was like, I know what I'm like on holiday. I spend a lot of time sunbathing, a lot of time with my husband. We go to the gym, I have a nap. He goes to the gym, and then we go out for dinner. And then literally, there's no way that I would let alcohol pass my lips and then start stitching, because I'll make a complete hash of it. So we decided to go with the Heart in Hand Blooming Tiny Town. Here it is. That was the one that I went with. I know some of you were saying take a beachy one, but I didn't have a beachy one. I don't think I had the beachy Tiny Town, but I did have this one. So I was like, this is the one that we're going to go with. And, oh, she says, now, I can't remember what fabric colour this is, but it is a, oh, what is it? Oh, I do know what fabric colour this is. So I was stitching this, I decided to go with one of the West Green Loft Yarn fabrics, finally using the stash that I keep on the Fabric of the Month Club. And this is the first piece that I'm actually stitching on. So far, absolutely love it, must say. So West Green Loft Yarns colorway Vanilla Bean, and it was the May Club of 2024. I've got the little tag. There we go. So that's the one that we decided to stitch it on. And I wouldn't say I've gone gung-ho, because that would just be too easy had I gone gung-ho. It's still on the Q-snap. I have been stitching this one whilst I've been commuting to and from work, and every now and then putting a strand in here and there. So Blooming Tiny Town. So this one was started on the 6th of March. It got 4 days in March, and it's had another 3 days in April. Like I say, I've been stitching on it outside of the holiday, but this is where I've got to. So we're making steady progress, people. Steady progress. I do rather like it, I must say. But it's one of those ones where, see, this is the difference. You know, when you sort of like, when I'm stitching, it's that there's certain things I like and there's certain things I don't like. And on this, because some of these things are like quite small, so like a little bit of green there, and you've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's lots of stopping and starting. So you like do 10 stitches and then you end the thread and then you go to another colour. Yeah, that's the bit I think that I don't like so much. But we've got, how many houses? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So what have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just finishing this little house here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one of the things that I was going to ask is, do you think I could say that this is like a sampler? The only reason I'm saying that is on my Whip Go, she says, on my Whip Go, I've got full coverage, fancy lady, fancy man samplers. And then it dawned on me that the only actual sampler that is in my whip rotation is my North Pole, which is, I'm sort of Christmased out at the moment. So I don't really want to do that. And the only other one is my Halloween Quaker, which is on a 40 count Newcastle linen, which requires me to be at home with magnification, because I'm not going to sit there with magnifiers on a train. So because of that, I'm quite limited about when I can stitch on samplers. And my Whip Go for March was 4 days on a sampler and 3 days on a sampler. So basically 2 sampler days came up. Now I didn't stitch on any actual samplers. And like I say, I'm quite limited when we say samplers. So I was thinking that because these are like, it's sort of sampler-ish, that I could use this as a possible sampler. In which case, I would have hit my whip go goal for March. But I don't know. I don't know whether I could actually officially say that that's like a sampler. I'll wait to see what the reply is. So you tell me, would you consider that this could pass loosely? Could it pass as a sampler? Because if it can, then I can say tick to my whip go. If it can't, I've somehow got to get those extra days from March, from whip go, into a sampler. But that's fine, because I could do that and just do it, you know, just because it was supposed to have been done in March doesn't mean it needs to be done in March. It just means that it was called for in March. I have the rest of the year to make the time up. But I rather like the idea of using that as a sampler, because it's sort of little houses, so each one is its own little, yeah. That's how my brain's working. But I'll go with how you know what? I think everyone's different. It's like, although yes, there are samplers that very obviously they are samplers, but things like this, I'm like, well, it's sort of sampler-ish, isn't it? But yeah, I will heed the advice, people. I look forward to the comments on this, because yeah, it's interesting to see the interpretations, or how you can sort of, can I twist this to my will? Let's put it like that. Can I twist it to my will? So that was started on the plane on the way to Jamaica. It made a very small appearance. I did a tiny bit, and the rest of it has been done between when I went on holiday and when I was back. Admittedly, most of it has been done since I've been back, I'll be honest, because not much happened on holiday other than holidaying. What else have I got to show you? So then the final project that I've worked on, like I said, there wasn't that much to show you, is my family farm afghan. So this one. And I think the last time that this one made an appearance was back in September, when I was at the Essex Needles retreat, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. Don't hold me to that, but I think that was the case. And this one is on my whip go for April. So April's got 2 days on an afghan, and then the next date, or the next number that was called, was also afghan, and that's 3 days on an afghan. So I'm pleased to report that I've already done 2 days worth of stitching on this in April. Really, honey, this is loving on a whole nother level. Now I need to let me pull this over here, because honey's being particularly needy today. Needs her mummy. Do we have to sit on me like this? Do you have this, for those of you that have pets? Do your cats and dogs do this to you? Every time you sit down, they just like, we're going to sit on you. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 seats that they could choose from in this house, in this area. And they choose to sit on me. So, this is the block that I'm currently working on. I'm hoping that I'll be able to show you where you saw it last time and that you can see that. So I've done quite a lot on this bit here, but this is one of the blocks that I did say that I wasn't overly thrilled to be doing, because it is literally just sky, and there's a lot of it, because it's just a lot of block. Whereas further down on the design, there's not, each of the blocks is, you know, a bit more sparse, whereas obviously these ones up here, there's a lot more dense stitching on the sky. And to be honest, I can't wait to be done with the sky. sky I'm done with. But that's where we've got to on this one. So this one has had some love, and this one's great at the moment. I'm not sure I'm going to be wanting to stitch on this in the middle of the summer because it could get a little hot. Although you can see, this is how I'm having to manage all of the fabric, she says. So I'm using beach towel clips to hold the bottoms and just rolled up the bottom. And then the bit that is over here is just basically like a giant sausage, which I just sort of drape wherever I can. So if I'm at the office table, I drape it over the office table. If I'm out here, I drape it on the chair arm or wrap it over the stand. Yeah, this is definitely going to need a wash when it's done, because I have a sneaky suspicion that this bit here is just going to get dragged around all over the place. So let's put that up there out of the way of the girls, because otherwise it's going to be covered in fluff as well. So that is really the grand sum total of everything that I've done. I know, it's really quite poor. But like I said, when I said that I was unwell, I was too unwell to stitch. I was literally sleeping or vegetating in front of the TV. And I have to say, because I wasn't feeling very well, and I've been talking to Lauren, my daughter, we got onto a conversation of like things on the TV. And one of the series that Lauren has never watched, and I was convincing her that she needed to watch it, is Outlander, because she's never seen it. I thoroughly enjoyed it the first time round, all 7 seasons. So she put it on whilst I was sat down here on one of the days that I did make it downstairs and sat on the sofa. We watched probably 1 or 2 episodes, and I was trying to explain to her what's happening, because she was like, I don't understand what's going on. I was like, just bear with it. The first couple of episodes are sort of getting you into the dynamics of what's happening, and then it sort of goes, because she was like, I thought this was based on when, she's a time traveler. And I was like, well, she sort of is, but it's showing you. So we sat down here and watched 1 or 2 episodes, and then, because I've headed off up to bed, well, next thing I know, I ended up getting so invested in it that I just sat there vegetating in bed watching Outlander all over again. And that's basically continued. So I'm now at season 6, episode 5. So like literally I have binge watched Outlander all over again. My daughter even came up and laid on the bed with me so that she could watch it with me. So yeah, like it's a joint effort on the binge watching. I ended up getting way ahead of her. So she's now, I think, like a whole season behind me. So she's, every time I try and put it on down here, she's like, Mum, she's like, what's happening? She's like, because she comes in the kitchen and starts cooking or doing something, and I'm watching it. And she's going, oh, this is spoiling it because I've just seen, and I'm like, don't listen then. So now it's got to the point that every time she comes into the room, I have to pause it. Because I'm like, will you just hurry up and binge this whole season, just so that you can like catch up, so that I can actually watch it, because I keep having to pause it. So yeah, I think I might have to start putting it on upstairs so that I can continue watching it. But to be honest, depending on how the rest of this weekend goes, I could be halfway through the next season, which is the final season. But I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching Outlanders. But because of that, it's one of those things that I love to watch, but I can't stitch and watch, because I'm not really watching if I'm stitching. If I'm stitching, I don't mind having the TV on and something more of a background noise and that I can just look up to, but it's not something that I'm really invested in watching, because I really am focusing on my stitching. Whereas with Outlander, I tend to find that I get a bit invested in the TV and less about it. So I end up doing like 1 or 2 strands and then putting the stitching down and then just sit there watching the TV. So it's unusual for me because I don't really watch TV very often, but yeah, I'm loving Outlander all over again. What else to tell you, people? What else to tell you? So that's really it on the stitching side. the only other thing I wanted to share with you, so you remember when I was talking on my last video about my full coverages and wanting to sort of do away with the parking, but then alternative reality, or specifically, all of the lines, because it's so old, all of the lines have disappeared, and lots of people were saying friction pens, and I was like, well, I'm not sure, because I heard some horror stories. Everyone was like, no, they're totally fine. Friction pens work, it washes out, yada yada. So I've said I will look at getting friction pens. Well, a lovely lady, I'm just going to say her first name because I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember back whether she said it was okay to share her name. So Sue, you angel of angels, Sue contacted me and said, Teresa, let me send you some friction pens. I was quite happy to go and get them, but she said she'd send me some. So she sent me over, I think she said they are friction pens. So she sent me over these lovely pens so that I can draw some grids on my fabric. I won't draw too much. I'm going to sort of draw sort of 2 or 3 boxes and then fill it in. That's the plan. But also, unbeknownst to me, I thought she was just sending me friction pens. Love her little cottons, because she was saying about you put it on a low to medium heat and go over it with an iron, and then all the friction pen disappears. Look what she sent me. Look at this. I have a Cricut Easy Press Mini that she sent me over to do my ironing with. So Sue, you are an angel. Naughty, but an angel nevertheless. So thank you so much. That was far too generous of you. But I do really appreciate it. But because I've been so sick, I haven't managed to pick up any full coverage and play with the friction pens yet. But I will do. And I'm gonna do a little test on some fabric, on like the corner of the fabric. Do the friction pen and then get the little iron and iron it and see what happens. So Sue, thank you so much. So generous of you. And then the only other thing to share with you is my Fabric of the Month haul, because that's the only haul. Of course, the plan was to go to the Essex Needles retreat. There were so many shops there. There was going to be some new shops that we had for the first time turning up at this retreat, and I wasn't there. So everyone was raving about all their yummy goodies, and I missed out completely. So the only thing that I've got to show you is Fabric of the Month, which I'm gutted about, because there was, I had a little budget for the retreat that I was going to spend, and now I haven't even got that. So West Green Loft Yarns at Fabric of the Month Club. I'm still in it again for 2025. This one is the March, and it is Cassandra. So it's like a nice yellowy colour. It's like a butter. Do you call that butter coloured? I'm going to call it butter coloured. I would take it out the plastic, but then I'm going to make loads and loads of crinkle noises. And then literally yesterday, this one turned up, and I haven't even opened it yet. So I'm learning it with you. Oh, ooh, what is this one? This one is Eleanor. That is, what colour is that? That is a lovely colour. It's like it's an almost white pink. Almost white. Not completely. Almost white pink. There we go. So that is the Fabric of the Month Club. That, my friends, is about all there is to share with you, other than, oh, actually, there was one thing. I don't know whether I already shared this or not. But you know, everyone went on this mission of making like a jewelry box into a Stitchy box. Well, I sort of made one for myself out of a jewelry box. And I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I had it at the ready to take to the retreat with me, which I didn't go to. But basically, it's literally just the Landisi Landisi box, and I just used some fabric that I had at home. And I whizzed that up. So I've put, behind the backing board, I put a magnet. It's like a magnet sheet that you use for die cutting. It comes out of the die cutting things, you know, like when you do like, paper crafts. They come with like a sheet that they all sort of stick to. So I stole one of those out of one of my folders and put some fabric over the top so that way I can put my needle minders, she says, if I can find a needle minder, come here. And it attaches to the backs, like so. Oh, that one's not, that one not sticking. There we go. So that way it magnets up there. We've got the little thing, and then in the bottom here, just did that bit, and then I did this bit. So as you can see, I've just got some counting pins in here. See, it was all ready for the retreat. I've got my threaders, my needle threaders. We've got plenty of needle minders. We've got spare needles. Yeah, I was ready. I was all geared up. And then it didn't happen. But hey, this is very handy dandy. But I think this will be one of the ones that I take to retreats, and then I use my little pots. She says, I mean, here in the living room, on my little stitchy spot, I say little stitchy spot. Do you know what? Before I went on holiday, I took my stands out of the living room. Not that I don't trust the children. I call them children loosely, Ben and Lauren. Because they were being left home alone, I was like, well, they're not party animals, so they was never going to have some wild party while I was gone. But I was thinking, you know, they might have family round, like Ben's brothers might come round, or, you know, they might have a couple of their friends pop over. So I was like, well, just in case they do have a few drinks, I don't want my stitching out on the stand, just in case. Just in case. So I put the stitching out the way. So literally just dragged the stand into the office. I kid you not, since I've been back off holiday, and bearing in mind that today is, what is today? The 5th of March, no, it's the 5th of April. I haven't pulled my stand out at all. So, but whilst I'm sitting here stitching normally, you remember back years ago, I did this little box where I made my own. This is where I keep all my tip when I'm stitching out in the living room. And I finished it. For those that have been with me for ages, you will remember me making this box. But I actually made the box and did the stitching. And I absolutely love this. And I always said I was going to do another one and just haven't gotten around to it. This is one of the things that I did when I was not at work, when I was off. And I had plenty of time on my hands, and now I don't. So yeah. So love that. But that sits out here. So this one is going to be basically for travel. For when I go away and I do my stitchy retreats. This is the one that I use out here. And then I've got a separate, just, I don't know what you call it, fabric poof thing in the office for when I'm stitching in the office. So I have a little something in every room. The only thing is I need to be more organised so that I've got like spare needles, a needle threader, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape in each one. Because at the moment it's like I always end up that I'll go to whichever designated area I'm stitching, and I'll go to pick something up and it's like all the needles will be out in the living room, or they'll be in the office, or yeah. I need to have them all so that they've got a little bit of everything in each box, so that no matter where I am, I've always got a measuring tape, or I've always got more needles, you know, that sort of jazz. I don't know, one day maybe when I'm retired, I might find the time to be as organised as that. But that is about it. What to tell you about the holiday? The holiday was fabulous. The weather was lovely. So it was around sort of 30, 32 degrees every day. However, we went to Negril, Green Island specifically in Negril in Jamaica. And we've been to Jamaica a number of times. I would say probably 6 or so times we've been to Jamaica. We normally go Montego Bayside. So because obviously a lot of people say, oh, but Negril is lovely, we decided to go to Negril. The only thing that I would say now, I don't know if it was just seasonally when we've gone and this particular year, but in Montego Bay, normally you might have a day where you'll have a few clouds that float past, or you might get like a couple of hours of cloud. It normally blows back off, or you might have a little downpour and then it's gone and then the sun's back out. But I kid you not, it was almost like, other than one day, the one day that we arrived, every day that we was there, we had blistering hot sunshine until about lunchtime, anywhere between 12 and 2. And then the clouds would come in and it would be really cloudy for the rest of the day. So my normal way of holidaying was different, which is really bizarre because normally, so this is how it normally rolls. Both me and hubby, we get up, we go put our towels on the beach, we go for breakfast, and then we're normally back on our loungers by 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and we stay there. We stay there all day and we don't come off the beach till about between 4 and 6, depending on, you know, how hot it is. And we literally stay out on the beach. And through the course of the day, you know, there'll be a bit of jerk chicken and rice. We'll go for our lunch. We don't really drink a lot through the day. Might have one or two, but it's literally just one or two. The rest of the time it's squash, like water and those sorts of things, because we're sitting in the sun. And then normally I will go and have a little nap. Hubby goes off to the gym. He comes back, we get ourselves washed up, we go out for dinner. And normally if we're going to do any drinking, we will do that once we start eating. So once we have our dinner, and then you tend to sort of stay out till, like, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock as example. And then it starts all over again. However, because we lost the sun every afternoon, it was like it'd get to 12 or 2 o'clock. And then the clouds would be that thick that it's still hot, it's still lovely. You could still just lay out on the beach, but there's no point in laying out on the beach because there's no sun. There was plenty of stuff happening around the hotel. But yeah, the whole, you know, sitting in the sun without the sun made it very different, because it got to the point that by about sort of 2 o'clock, if the sun went, you know, if the sun was behind the clouds from 12 o'clock, you sort of sit there for an hour or so. Then we went for lunch, come back, still no sun. You sit down and then it'll be like someone will come along and say, you know, do you want drinks? And it'd be like, yeah, actually, I think I will. And I was like, do you know what? I might have a tequila sunrise. So needless to say, there was a lot of daytime drinking that took place this holiday. So I would say most afternoons we was on the alcohol. Now the problem with that is we still stayed out on the beach till sort of between 4 and 6 o'clock. But obviously we'd been drinking from sort of either 12 or 2 through till sort of 6. And then I was going back to the room and like literally crashing out. Hubby would sometimes crash out with me. And then at like 8 o'clock, we're sort of like dragging our sorry little butts to dinner. But we sort of already done our drinking. It's sort of like so we're going down for dinner and they're like, do you want wine with your dinner? And I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks. And then hubby's the same, because he's like, well, I've already had enough for today. We'd have our dinner, and because we was, I don't know, it was because we drank through the day, I was just like, literally, we'd have dinner and they'd be like, I can't bother to go out, dear. I was like, I just want to go back and go to sleep. I want to go to bed. Me, of course, I'm a little lightweight, so I was like, woo. So I kid you not, most nights, we didn't make it past 10 o'clock. We was in bed by 10 o'clock on our holiday. And I was like, is this what's happened to us? I don't think it is. I think it is just because we was drinking through the day. So I have sort of said to hubby, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. We didn't drink every day, but it was most days. And we was there for like 12 nights, 11 nights, 12 days. So yeah, for me, that's a lot of drinking for anyone that knows me, because I can, well, basically go a whole year, Christmas to Christmas, and not a touch of alcohol will pass my lips. So for me to be like, just have like one little tipple once or twice a year, to sort of almost drinking a drink at least, but more than a drink. Yeah, I spent a lot of time being a little woozy on holiday. But because of that, there wasn't really late nights, but I had consumed much more alcohol than normal. So therefore, whereas normally I would sometimes go back off the beach at 4 o'clock and do a bit of stitching 4 till 6 o'clock on the balcony, none of that happened. So yeah, it was a completely different dynamic on this holiday, I must say. And then, because then to come home and then be really ill for almost 2 weeks, yeah, wasn't the best. But I did have a fabulous holiday. It's not been so great since I've been back, but at least the UK weather is taking a turn. So it is lovely and sunny. It looks very inviting outside. It's just that it's a little bit cold still. But that is allowing for a few jobs to happen. So today's tasks will be, so yesterday we put a whole new fence in. So our fence panels needed replacing because some of the high wind that we've had, we nearly lost a couple of the fence panels. So we've replaced the fence panels yesterday. So that was fun and joyous. Needless to say, my arms are a little stiff today. So the new fence panels went in, so I need to do loads of dump runs and take the rest of the old fence panels to the dump to get rid of those. I've got hanging baskets to make because all of my little plug plants are in the greenhouse, and like they're drying out like that because they're in the greenhouse and the sun is out. It's warm in the greenhouse, but actually outside it's chilly. So yeah, they need putting in. So that's another job for today. Yeah, lots of gardening. The water feature needs cleaning out and turning back on because that's been off all winter. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of garden action happening this weekend, and a little less on the stitching side, but I've got the rest of Outlanders to watch first anyway, because I can't commit to my stitching if I'm still binge watching Outlander. That's my excuse for it. Also, we're in April. Work is super busy at least the first 2 weeks of April because this is our quarter end reporting. So it's been crazy busy this last sort of week, and then I've got the next 2 weeks is nothing but chaos. So the next 2 weeks I'm not likely to do that much stitching, and then from then on we will see how we get on. Yeah, because theoretically everything should calm down. There's no more holidays. Unfortunately, because I was trying to behave myself, I organised that I was only going to do 2 retreats this year. One being the March Essex Needles retreat. No, 3 retreats this year. Sorry, I stand corrected. So the Essex Needles retreat, March, which obviously I didn't go to and missed because I was sick. I've got the September retreat. So again, September Essex Needles retreat. And the only other one that I'm signed up to is October for the Chatelaine retreat. So the 1 year that I've only got that many retreats, I've got nothing in the middle, and I didn't get to go to the early one. So obviously March isn't happening. So my next retreat that I'm going to isn't until September, unless something changes, but I don't see that happening. So yeah, nothing really to look forward to, but that does mean that I will need to consciously make more effort for me time and stitching because I haven't got other things arranged. So I might need to, I don't know, I might need to think about that. But hey, you know me, in the summertime, in the summer it's not a problem because I'm always in the garden anyway. It's more sort of this early spring bit, and once we get to sort of September, when things, you know, I want to stay indoors a bit more. But hopefully I can be self-motivated. even if I'm not sitting in a dedicated area to have a whole weekend to myself. Hubby's racing starts, I think this weekend. I think so. Tomorrow, I think he's racing pretty much all day tomorrow. He's got a few nationals which are going to take him abroad, so maybe they may be the weekends that I can allocate to myself and my stitching. But yeah, things are starting to settle into the more warm weather action. So watch this space. On that note, that's it. That's all I've got to share with you. I am literally pinned into place because I've got one fluffy just here and another fluffy just there. So I'm sort of like shoehorned into this space here. So I'm gonna try and squeeze myself out of this confinement, let's say, head out in the garden and get my chores done. I hope you are all getting lots of stitching done, that you're getting some lovely weather like I am. And until next time, people, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Fingers crossed, all going according to plan. I will be back to see you the very early part of May for a monthly update. And if things go exceptionally well, I might actually get round to do some Stitch with me or even a live stream at the back end of April once work calms down. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Maybe I should put that on the diary. I'll put it in the diary and hope for the best. So until next time, people, thank you for watching and bye-bye for now.